Go Habs go. Go Habs go. Go Habs go. Ole, 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 ole. Round one is on tonight. Philadelphia versus Montreal. It's on, folks. What's up, guys? Open Ice Hits with Scotty2 Hockey, every Leafs mom's fan's favorite YouTuber, but unfortunately tonight for those ladies, I will not be available because I'll be watching Game 1 of the Montreal Canadiens versus the Philadelphia Flyers Best of 7 Series, Round 1. And what I'd like to talk about in this video, I'd like to give my preview for how these teams stack up against each other. Let's look a little bit on the regular season side and a little bit on the play-in and qualification side. And I'd also like to give my prediction at the end of the video on who I think is going to win the series, in how many games, and how I think the series is going to go, whether I think it's going to be competitive or not. But let's get into this. These teams do have a lot of history. In the past 2 series, the Philadelphia Flyers have beat the Montreal Canadiens in 5 games. In 2010, in the Eastern Conference Finals, they beat the Montreal Canadiens in 5 games. So Montreal should be out for revenge in this series. But we will see what happens, and I'll give my thoughts at the end of the video. First, let's look at how these teams stack up against each other. Montreal in the regular season didn't have the best season by no means. They were on the outside looking in before this COVID stuff happened, before this 2014 playoff setup happened. Thank God it did, because now the Habs are in the playoffs, and other teams that were expected to be in the playoffs by this point, like the Toronto Maple Leafs, are on the outside looking in. They're golfing right now where Montreal's playing hockey. But anyways, Montreal's record this year was 31, 31, and 9. They had 71 points. They were good for 5th in the Atlantic Division. Their goals for was 212. That was 8th in the league. Their goals against was 221. That was 23rd in the league, so they let in a lot of rubber this season. Their power play, just like the past few seasons, has struggled. 17.74% on the power play. That's good for 2.29 below the league average. Then you look at the penalty kill. They have a 78.67% penalty kill. That's 1.30 below the league average. And their team shooting percentage is 8.6%, 0.9 below the league average. Their leading scorers are very similar to the Philadelphia Flyers for the Montreal Canadiens. The Philadelphia Flyers leading scorer has 61 points, and the Montreal Canadiens leading scorer, Thomas the Tuna Tatar, had 61 points this season. Followed closely, well, not so much closely, but followed by Philip Deneau with 47 points, and Max Domi also had 44 points this season. And their goalie, I'm not going to list Charlie Lindgren. We all know it's going to be Carey Price in this season. Barring some injury, which we all pray doesn't happen, please, God, don't let that happen. It's going to be Carey Price in this series. And in the regular season for Montreal this year, he had respectable numbers for how bad the team was in front of him. In 58 games played, he had a 27, 25, and 6 record. He had 1,595 saves. He had a .909 save percentage, a 2.79 goals against, and he had 160 goals against him entirely throughout the year. He let 160 goals in, and shots faced was 1,755 for Carey Price. Now, going into this, there's no injuries. I don't believe there's any injuries to report for the Montreal Canadiens, so we'll look at their play-in numbers now. They beat the Pittsburgh Penguins 3-1 in the best of 5 series. Didn't go 5 games. The Habs won it in 4. They won it 3-1. Their leaders were Shea Weber with 2 goals, 2 assists, good for 4 points, and he was also a +5. Paul Byron had 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points, and was a +1. Arturi Lehkonen had 1 goal, 2 assists, and 3 points, and was a +6. And I had to mention Jeff Petrie also had 2 goals and assists, 3 points. He's tied with Arturi Lehkonen, and he had 2 game winners, and he is a +1. Their penalty kill in the play-ins was 82.4%. They had 0 power play goals, and their face-off percentage in the play-ins was 49.4%. So they basically won half their face-offs. Their leading face-off winner was Philip Deneau. He had 48 wins in the play-in qualification round. Price was 3-1 in the play-in round, excuse me. He had a .947% save percentage, a 1.67 goals against. He had 133 saves, and he had 1 shutout, and that was in the last game. In Game 4 is when he had that shutout, so he definitely came up big when he was needed. And now we'll look at the Philadelphia Flyers' regular season numbers and some of their leaders. Philadelphia had a much better record than Montreal. They had a 41, 21, and 7 record. They had 89 points, good for 2nd in the Metro Division. They were really coming on at the end of the season. Their power play was awesome, 20.8%, 0.77 above the league average. Their penalty kill was 81.82%, 1.85 above the league average. So just like Pittsburgh, Philadelphia is pretty much ahead of Montreal in every category. The only category they're not really ahead of Montreal in is goaltending. Montreal's goaltending in the regular season, at least, was just as good as Philadelphia's. And in scorers. Like, you look at Philadelphia's leading scorers in 66 games played, Travis Konecny had 61 points. He had 24 goals and 37 assists. He had the same amount of points as Thomas Tatar. Sean Couturier in 69 games played had 22 goals, 37 assists, and 59 points, and was a +1. I also have to mention Travis Konecny was a -1. So Philadelphia they do have more elite talent like Claude Giroux and stuff like that, but overall they are kind of a scoring by committee team as well. They don't have 100-point players, at least not this season they don't. And third for Philadelphia was Jakub Voracek with 69 games played. He had 12 goals, 44 assists, scored for 56 points, and he was also a +14. Then we look at their goalies. Carter Hart this season, he had a pretty solid season, but not really going to blow you away. Carter Hart in 43 games played had 24 wins, 13 losses, 3 overtime losses, a .914 save percentage, a 2.42 goals against. He had 1,005 saves on the season, and he had 1 shutout this entire season. Brian Elliott, in 31 games played, had a 27-16-4 record. He had a below 900 save percentage at .899, 716 saves total for Elliott, and he had 2 shutouts and a 2.87 goals against this season. So goaltending-wise, it's pretty even. Montreal doesn't have the backup Philly does. They don't have the tandem Philly does. But if you add up the team average, like their goals against and their percentage, it's pretty even. In my opinion, I'd probably even give Montreal the edge. Just going off the top of my head because I don't have all the numbers written down here. But thinking about it, I would give Montreal the edge in that category. Myself, personally, in a 7-game series, I would rather have Carey Price than Carter Hart. Has the experience, has shown in the playoffs before what he can do. Carter Hart is a phenomenal young goalie. We'll see how it goes. But if I was a coach, I would want Carey Price over Carter Hart myself personally, and those are 2 goalies that are going to be playing for sure. And in the qualifying round, Philadelphia was absolutely dominant. They went 3-0. Their penalty kill was 90%. I couldn't find their power play numbers. Everywhere I looked, I couldn't find their power play numbers, but I'm sure it was good. Their penalty kill was 90%, so the Habs got a bad power play. Philadelphia has an awesome penalty kill. Not looking good for Montreal there, that's for sure. They're the #1 seed coming into this first round of the playoffs. Their leaders are surprisingly Scott Laughton with 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points, a +4. Kevin Hayes, not so much of a surprise, has 4 assists, 4 points, and was a +4. And then this guy, I've never even heard of this guy myself personally, Nicholas Abe-Kubel. I hope I'm not butchering that name too much. 2 goals, 2 points, +1. So he's the top 3 in scoring for Philadelphia. I've never even heard of the guy. So that's pretty good for Philly. They got some depth players stepping up for sure. And their goaltending, Carter Hart had 2 games played, 2 wins, a .966% save percentage, 1 goals against, 57 saves, and on 59 shots faced. Then we look at Brian Elliott. He did play a game. In 1 game played, he had 1 win, a .941% save percentage, 1 goal against, 16 saves on 17 shots for Elliott. So both goalies were phenomenal, but no doubt in my mind this is going to be the Carter Hart versus the Carey Price show. So that's how they stack up against each other. Philadelphia is a much better regular season team, and in the qualification round, they were the #1 seed. They're coming in super hot. Both their goalies are playing awesome, but without a doubt, it's going to be Carter Hart starting. And the guy has a .966 save percentage coming out of this qualification round. Carey Price has just as good, pretty close as a save percentage of .949. It's going to be insane. It's going to be an insane series. I would give Philadelphia the edge offensively, but I've really liked what I've seen from the Habs. Young players like Nick Suzuki, Jesperi Kotkaniemi stepping up. Carey Price is playing like his prime, playing the best hockey he's played in years. The veterans like Shea Weber, Paul Byron, Jeff Petrie are stepping up when called upon. The score sheet indicates that. And I can see the Montreal Canadiens beating the Philadelphia Flyers in this series. And I am predicting the Montreal Canadiens to beat the Philadelphia Flyers in a 7-game series. I think it's going to go 7. I think the Habs will win 2. Philly will win 2. Then they'll both win 1 apiece, and it'll go 7 games. It'll be a tight game 7. Maybe even go to overtime. Every player for the Habs is going to play well. No excuses for Max Domi. No excuses for Jonathan Drouin. They need to bring their A game, and I have 100% faith they will. And even if by some chance certain players do have a lackluster performance, that the offense does struggle at certain points, Carey Price can steal games. He can steal a series, and this is one I feel he's going to put on his back. The Habs are being so underrated in this. Almost everybody's picking Philly, just like Pittsburgh. You look at, there's a meme on Facebook where it shows all the, I believe it was Sportsnet analysts or TSN analysts. They all picked Pittsburgh. Not one of them picked Montreal. Montreal was a massive underdog, and look what Montreal did in that series. It didn't even go 5 games. So I see this one going 7, and I see the Habs winning it. I see Carey Price being the MVP of the series, absolutely stealing a game or 2. Nick Suzuki stepping up. I would predict him to be the point leader by the end of the series, and the Habs win it in 7 games. That's the Scotty 2 Hockey prediction. Let me know what you guys think, and I hope you guys are excited for tonight's game as I am. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this prediction and this preview. Have a great day wherever you're to. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the game. This is Open Ice Hits with Scotty 2 Hockey. Over and out.